We're welcome back to our program Money Means Business, and as we always say, in business means money. Stability and business mean a lot of money, but we also discovered that a lot more than that means money and business, and that is situations like the COVID-19 pandemic or any pandemic that comes and attacks the world and attacks economies, affects everybody, definitely, daily life and everything, and even social life. Well, what we're talking about in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that is affecting all economies, including Egypt's economy and development everywhere, growth, we are just going to discuss what's happening in Egypt week by week, as we always do that, linked to the world and the different events that are taking place internationally and on the local scene, definitely. Well, before doing that, let me mention that well, in appreciation for his achievements in the transport sector, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we mean that, the Bank Transport and Infrastructure Department Chief, on behalf of the bank president, submitted the award to Egypt's ambassador to Cote d'Ivoire and to present it to the President Sisi. Ambassador Badawi said that under the auspices of President al-Sisi, huge national projects have been established in Egypt during the few recent years, adding that those projects contributed in providing job opportunities and improving the citizens' standards and living and facilitating the movement of individuals and goods. The bank's official also hailed the strong cooperation between Egypt and the African Bank. And we're back again. We have with us our guest for this week. We have with us Dr. Said Al-Holy, who is a professor of management at Ain Shams University, and also he's the chairman of the promotion committee in the High Supreme Council of Universities. Welcome, sir, with us here in our program Money Means Business.
Thank you for being here.
And of course, it's always a pleasure having you with us.
Same here.
Well, before starting our talk, let's go for a short break, after which we'll be coming back, starting our show. Stay tuned to us, don't go away. We're back again to Money Means Business with our guest, Dr. Said Al-Holy, Professor of Management at Ain Shams University and the Chairman of the Promotion Committee in the High Supreme Council of Universities. And welcome, sir, again.
Thank you.
Well, a lot has been happening, definitely, week by week, but let me just mention this, that the head of the General Comprehensive Health Insurance Authority said Saturday, which is today, the assigned financial allocations for the health sector in the budget of the current fiscal year reached £110 billion, equaling 5.4% of the whole budget, with an increase of £21 billion, achieving 24% growth rate. And also the continuous increase of health allocations focused on financial or financing investments in this vital sector, coinciding with the state's efforts to afford the citizens with excellent health services and the gradual implementation of the comprehensive health insurance system. Also, the state was keen to realize balance between maintaining the health of the public and the gradual return of economic activities to preserve a safe national economic path. And also we're talking different developments taking place with the increase of the cash reserve in the bank. Well, this is getting just improving. And of course, lots of projects have been happening, but all under the threat and under the threat of the pandemic to everybody and to the economy, definitely.
As you recall, in this program, weeks ago, we made a prediction and we said the international entity worldwide provide Egypt as one of the few countries where it went through this 1 year of pandemic with a growth rate. And of course that it doesn't come by coincidence. It comes because we have a plan, we have management, we have leadership in Egypt in order to overcome all the obstacle of the effect of pandemic or COVID-19. Thanks God, year 2020, Egypt was in the positive side. That's the only country in this region, in Africa, in the Middle East, even Gulf state, they went through a negative growth rate. In Egypt, we have a positive growth rate of 3.4, I believe, and it moving upward. And this, it will affect the reserve for cash, for example, and the liquidity in Egypt is safe. And remember, the planning we have, the infrastructure we have, it paid off. And our prediction for year 2021, it will be a very successful year for Egypt. We reduce unemployment rate. We have increased the standard of living for Egyptian people. And of course, we attracted a lot of foreign direct investment, new manufacturing. We started to take the fourth industrial revolution in our planning. And this, it will affect the economy of Egypt and the growth rate of Egypt to be higher and higher in the future.
Definitely. Well, with a different, last year, we had, it was very hard time. But then again, this year, with the COVID-19 still, changing and, having more effect on everybody again. But we can't be locking down like last year for a certain time. And we are surviving, we're working, we're just trying to control that. How do you see this year, the start of this year, with the different projects?
Remember, COVID-19, it doesn't affect Egypt itself. By itself, it affects the whole world.
Yeah.
And if you compare Egypt with other countries worldwide, I believe we have much less in terms of death rate, in terms of the new cases and so on. A few weeks ago started to go high, but start to go down right now, and it will go down and down in the future. Remember, we didn't have a complete lockdown for the Egyptian economy.
Yeah.
And thanks for the leadership of the President Sisi. It's very important. Leadership, it play a very important role in terms of economic. If you don't have a stability, if you don't have a leadership where you look for vision for Egypt, not only 2020 or 2021, but you look for 2030 and beyond that, Leadership is very important. Look what happened worldwide in the West, for example, where the authoritarian leadership bring most of the most advanced or richest nation in the world. It will goes down right now. So I believe the good management, the good leadership of President Sisi, he planned and his government planned and did really take in this their consideration, and they studied very well the crisis before it happened. So they have what we call it as a proactive action in terms when we have COVID-19, our food supply in a very, very positive way. And I also remind you to look for other countries, European country, North America and so on. They have lines and lines for food bank and so on. We don't have that in Egypt. I believe we are on the right track. We're still attracting a lot of foreign direct investment. And remember, with the making Arab country goes back to Egypt, like Qatar, for example, that is a good news for Egypt and for Egyptian economy.
Definitely. Well, a lot of effort under the COVID-19 threat and with all what and during the lockdown and so on, work did not stop in factories or in infrastructure and all that. Very hard work is being done, and now, you know, like we are just even before that, President Sisi, as if reading the scene said, you know, like about the food, well, the vegetables and all that, and how to plant, you know, more, and the specifications, all that. That when this happened, well, we took the place of other countries, like in olives, for instance. Instead of Spain, we got, you know, higher rates. We just, you know, like are you know, sending produce abroad for the countries that need vegetables and all that. You know, we've been, you know, planting and working hard on that. Well, with all that happening, how do you see, well, last year, you know, the preparations for the future with, again, it's not easy, the times we are in, you know, very hard times for everybody, but yet work is being, you know, like, just, you know, going on as if in normal times with, of course, the changes that would fit the health security and regulations that, you know, just to abide by for the COVID-19.
Of course, I go back to the issue of leadership.
Yeah.
When you have a president where he cares a lot for his people, for his country, and also the government where they work day and night in order to keep the economy going with all the infrastructure we have in Egypt, in terms of roads, in terms of tunnels, in terms of going to make mega project in Sinai, in faraway area like Marsa Matruh in Dam'a, for example. We're developing a lot of new city in Upper Egypt. It is not concentrating in one area, where the diversification of activity we have in Egypt. Remember, before 50, 60 years ago, we used to concentrate on agriculture only, so our economy were depending on agriculture.
Yes.
Now we have growth in agriculture. We have a growth in manufacturing. We have a growth in tourism, for example. That is when you diversify your activity with any crisis happen, it doesn't affect overall economy. Remember, it is very important to look for Sinai. I believe that is the promised land for Egypt, and it's a virgin land, and we can use it for attracting more investment in Sinai. Remember, all the tunnel roads going to Sinai. Now we have about 9 tunnels underneath the Suez Canal going to Sinai. It means a lot of business will go to Sinai. Also, it is very important when we talk about industry. We attracted a lot of business in China, for example. We don't depend on one country only, but we have association with all industrial countries worldwide. And that is a good news for Egypt. And remember, the effect of COVID-19 on Egyptian economy, it turned out to be a positive side. Remember, we used to import all our supply from outside. Now, We have a slogan now, and all the Egyptian people agree with the government, with the president, made in Egypt.
Yeah.
You have to depend on yourself with providing all the supply for your manufacturing system. That is a good news, and that is the positive side of COVID-19 on Egyptian economy. Also, blood that it's a wake-up call for all different sectors.
Yeah.
COVID-19, we turn it to other means for providing education, health care, and all other business in order to depend on ourselves. I believe we are on the right track. I believe we are doing much, much better than most of the country. I believe also with the security and safety of our political system and economical system, it helped us to overcome the negative effect of COVID-19.
Yes. Also, I wanted to add. Well, since you mentioned just working very hard during the COVID-19 time, and then the management was great. Affecting, of course, and you're talking about it's very important. Made in Egypt, the trust of the people, Egyptian people, in the quality, the good quality of Egyptian products has increased. Before we had this I'm buying this from abroad, I bought this from abroad. But now we see even wearing Egyptian fabrics and, things like malas. Even some people take pride in wearing that and making these, our own designers, whether in, let's say, fashion designers or
in jewelry.
Jewelry, definitely. We've got big names that went international right away. Like leather or other, and bags also. We do have, international names right now. A lot of that, and even names here that are just doing excellent, super excellent work. Do you see the change in Egyptians trusting their own products, Egyptian products, and really wanting more than anything to own that and wear Egyptian products?
Absolutely, and that is, it doesn't happen yesterday, and it doesn't
definitely. But wonderful change.
And it wasn't because of COVID-19. I remember 4 years ago, exactly 4 years ago, President Sisi was talking about this issue which you talk about. Yeah. He said 4 years ago we should really depend on ourselves to provide all our product and service in Egypt here, and it shows up right now. It shows a lot of small business, a lot of entrepreneur, a lot of research and development. It came to reality, and as a result we have a brand now, Egyptian brand, whether, as you mentioned, in fashion, in jewelry, and in furniture, for example. Dumyat city, it is considered to be in advanced ranking worldwide now. Handmade product in Egypt, which is really appreciated by all different nationality worldwide. And remember, we have a lot of subcultures in Egypt. We have Sinai culture, we have Upper Egypt culture, and they provide us with a very, very unique product. And it's really, it has a good market. The issue now, how to market ourselves outside of Egypt. Remember, all of this for the tourists who come to Egypt, and we should really focus in how to market ourselves in terms of how to develop a marketing techniques for a small business in order to promote their product abroad. It's very important. So the marketing issue, it is very important to advertise for Made in Egypt. And of course, we all responsible for that. All public figure, they must wear Egyptian brand clothes in TV and so on. So this encourages the young generation is to follow and so on. Remember, most of and that is culture. It is really the history. It shows that we are tended to go with the brand, with the horse, with the.
I'm very proud of this.
Right. So if we really focus on that for Egyptian product, whether it's clothing, whether any other product, it will be the future for Egyptian economy.
Definitely.
Small business is very important.
Of course, but also like the weaving and textiles, like a company that we had and just like went apart. Cotton is very important and should be really taking its own place because it just like went down for some time. Although the Egyptian cotton's reputation worldwide is like when you say Egyptian cotton, everybody knows, but then it's like bought. Some people just say, well, we got Egyptian cotton, this is the best.
I remember like 30 years ago, it was a famous store in Rockefeller Center in the heart of Manhattan, where the building of NBC News over there. It was a store where they have a big sign, all our product is 100% Egyptian cotton. So the brand of Egyptian cotton, it ranked #1 worldwide. Of course, our textile industry didn't take advantage of that. We should really upgrade ourselves. We should really make maintenance for our manufacturing. We should use different techniques. I remember at Ain Shams University, but it didn't go through association with the Italian firm and the Italian university in order to promote the design and textile new models and so on for our textile industry. It doesn't really hurt us to make a strategic alliance with fashion industry, not in Italy, in France, for example, in order to promote our textile industry, or revive our textile industry again. Remember, we have the fabric, but we need the design, we need the coloring and all of that to promote for ourselves.
Definitely. Well, let me think, like Egypt, still has it should be inaugurated again, because like we have new cities that are being built. Everything new we've got, for the tourism also, and those people, would come, or even Egyptians, different museums everywhere for everything that from the time of the ancient Egyptians till now with the royal era and all that. Also the new, the GEM, which is a GEM, as I always say, the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, that is GEM, and our own present to the world, is going to open. We don't know now, yet, with again the new wave of the pandemic that everybody is really suffering from, but it's coming. So all that is like, when this opens, not only it's the inauguration of the GEM, but it's in the inauguration of Egypt with everything that has been happening, and those people who just go away for, well, even a month, they come and find new things, new Egypt actually everywhere.
And that is we'll go back for the infrastructure. Remember, one of our problem was logistic in Egypt, and now with all these super highways in all different parts of Egypt, it facilitates the transportation from Cairo to all different cities in Egypt. Egyptian tourism, it doesn't depend on the old history only, but we have different history in Egypt. That is one issue. Another issue, we have a very beautiful weather, whether we are in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, in the spring. Egyptian weather considered to be a blessing from God to our weather. So until now, we don't have the same weather as Europe, for example, as Russia, for example, and this attract tourists. And we have the most beautiful beaches worldwide, and diving for the people who love diving. So we have different means to attract people in order to come and have their vacation in Egypt. Again, we should be able to market ourselves, not for the Egyptian people, for outside of Egypt, and that's very important. So for tourism industry, now we have a lockdown for all different airlines, but when it opens, I believe it will be a different story. And remember, the new big museum we have in Egypt, it will attract millions of people in order to see the Egyptian history. And we should really work in advertising that more and more. And I believe the opening of the big museum in Egypt will attract all different leaders of the world in the opening stage.
Definitely. Well, also, well, let's talk about what's happening in the world in relation to other countries, and but then America and what happened last week. Well, what's happening now with the situation in the States, and now it's reeling under the effects of the COVID-19 and with the change that is happening with the elections and the complications that are taking place. How does that affect the world, affect us? How does that affect them?
It's first of all, it will affect Biden.
Yeah.
The insurrection, which we have it in January 6, it was the first in the history of America.
Yeah.
And when Trump didn't concede for Biden, it is the first also. It is the first president not to concede for the winning. Remember what we saw. It is a very dangerous indication for the future of America, for the perception of the world for the superpower. The superpower, it has a lot of defect where the insurrection, you have a lot of people from the right wing where they carry the Confederate flag, and it goes back to the 80 years ago when we have United States divided in terms of South and North.
Yeah.
And it brings a bad memory for the American people and for the image for the American as a superpower. That is a very negative effect. The Biden, when he have a crisis with COVID-19, over 24 million American, they got the virus. About more than 250,000 died in the States. And the distribution of the vaccine in Egypt face a lot, in the States, face a lot of trouble, where it's only for the distributed vaccine, only 25% of this vaccine, they got the shot. And that is a misplanning in the side of Trump. Of course, the good news for Biden, or it is really the starting point, the first 100 days for any American president when he take the power, which is in January 20, this coming Wednesday, he facing several problems. He's facing to issue a relief package for $1.9 trillion to help small business, to help the people out of work, the unemployment, and all of that. That is a big hit for the Biden administration. Also facing the right wing, we don't know what will happen. Remember, they deployed over 25,000 from National Guard, and the 25,000, it is more than the American army in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and so on. And that is, it is scary. When you see Washington now on TV, it is like a hunger, It reminds me what we have years ago, God forbid to come back, where you have all these people surrounded by trucks and all of that. It is a very bad image for the state. And also now they talk about...
It's a deja vu. When we we saw this, it's like a deja vu. It's like what happened in Egypt, but like different. It brings very bad memories to us, and that was not a good situation.
And remember, at that time, Americans, they said human right, and look for your human right before you talk about human right.
Yeah.
Because most of the Senate and Congress, when they come, they start to talk about the human right issue and so on. Where is the human right from yourself and so on.
Yeah.
And that is, in political analysis, it really has a negative effect for America. The good news for Biden, he has the Congress now, the majority in the Congress, they are Democrat. The Senate, after the Georgia election, where the gain the power of the Senate also, and the presidency is also a Democrat. And in a normal situation, we always say that's a honeymoon for the new president. It will be a honeymoon or not. We'll see. We'll talk about after this Wednesday, 12 o'clock. We'll see what will go
Definitely.
and what will happen.
Definitely. We'll go for a short break. After we should be coming back. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away. Back again to Money Means Business with our guest, Dr. Saeed Al-Khouli. Dr. Saeed Al-Khouli, well, with Egypt here, with the education now and everywhere in the world, actually the online education, whether at schools or universities, well, for fear, just to lessen actually the effect of the COVID-19, and like not only spaces, if you have got like students, or you have to just be very careful with them because they might not really abide by the rules to lessen. And then they go to their parents, and infections, all that, and everybody's trying to lessen the effects of the COVID-19.
I believe we'll continue with online teaching within the next, remember it was up to January 16, up to today exactly, and then we have the middle of the year vacation, and we'll go back in February. I believe the corona, the COVID-19 effect will go less and less.
Yeah.
Remember, the health of Egyptian people is #1 priority for the president. Remember when he said, my concern is the health of the people, and the health of the student is very important, whether it is public school or private school or international schools, whether in the higher education like university and so on. We have to take all precautions. So we have another mean for education, which is not really accepted by the Egyptian culture.
Yeah.
But the more we use it, we'll get used to it, and we'll be able to interact with it. Remember, we have online education. Maybe we'll go to the second level, which is what we call it hybrid education, where half of the student go 1 week and another half go another week. And the week where is the student at home, they can have it online and so on. That's what we call it as a hybrid. Believe it or not, in Ain Shams University, we started this hybrid 5 years ago. We didn't have corona, but we have agreement with governmental university in the States, where our student in Ain Shams University, especially Faculty of Commerce, they take courses in class and courses online. So, and we issue 2 certificates, one from Ain Shams University and one from Kean University, which is governmental university in New Jersey. So it is a culture thing. we are not ready for it. It really, we face a lot of obstacles due the online education need infrastructure, and the infrastructure is communication, high speed internet, and so on. We worked on it, and the University of Communication, they worked and they invested heavily in that area, and it shows more stability right now. I believe we are ready for that in terms of online. Most of the schools and most of the university in Egypt, they develop their own platform in order to provide all materials for all students online. Also, the university, the Ministry of Education, they develop 2-3 channels on TV in order to have a real life interactive in TV. If you don't have internet, you can see it in TV. They provide that. So we all take all this measure in order to keep things going. But if we don't that, we have no other choice is to shut down and we delete 1 year of our
Children's
kids,
lives, actually,
yes,
the education and their own
so-
future, definitely.
So life goes on, life goes on. And remember, as I mentioned, President Sisi first priority, the health of our kids, of our students, and that's what we did. And I believe it shows a very successful result up to this point of time.
Yeah. Well, I think also, how are, let's say, children or youth, doing with that? I think with the first lockdown and the situation before that, now, they understand what is using the internet to just have their own lessons instead of being there in class or class online.
The student get used to that right now. It was no, up to 2-3 months ago, it was not 100% interactive.
Definitely.
But now it is fully interactive right now. And remember, it goes step by step. This culture of online learning, it is been implemented 20 years ago in Europe and the States, for example. But for Egyptian, it's a new thing. And our student, it is not the problem with the student only, with the parents only, with
Definitely.
mom
It's
and
like
dad
the
also.
social side.
Absolutely.
What do parents do with that now?
Absolutely, because in the mornings you go to school, you have a free time, and then they come back
Yeah.
from the school and so on. So it is not only the student problem, it is the parents' problem also. But it is a very good alternative, and that is the only available alternative with the crisis we face with COVID-19. We prepared for it, and we start to invest on it. And the government, in terms of communication ministry, they provided us with high-speed internet and so on. For a lot of criticism in the beginning for our Egypt and so on, for the rural area, they don't have internet. They started to establish 3 or 4 channels in public TV in order to provide real life lessons on TV. If you don't have internet, but you can see it in TV and so on, with the state-of-the-art technology, with the best teacher in Egypt. They have it on TV right now.
Well,
And
what-
no excuse, really.
Definitely.
Life goes on.
Well, life goes on, but like some students were used to the special lessons. It's been now. Things are changing. But what if they don't understand, they're taking like private lessons right now? What is the situation with that? If a student, some students just don't really get it online. Do they all are there? You're required to be present at university. The being present, is that a problem online? Because some students might not really just be present during the lesson online.
In most of the school now, they have a private tutor, which is not really a private lesson. The school provide a tutor for offline above in weekend, for example, to provide extra work for the student, extra understanding for the student who have difficulty of understanding the material from the first time. And this is going on right now in Egypt. And as I mentioned, if you don't have internet, if you don't have a computer, you have another mean, which is the TV. It is a good news.
Yeah. Then later on, how do you see, like, would their online option be there in case, well, since now, like, students are used to it and they know, that there could be an option too. So would it, if, things go back normal life again, would, you as the education institution prefer to use some part of the lessons to be online?
I believe so, and I always urge for that. It is my opinion, and it is my belief we should devote 25% of our curriculum to be online. Online education is the trend of online education is on a growth rate worldwide. Why not to have 25% of our curriculum to be delivered online, whether we have COVID-19 or not, whether we have a crisis or not? We should devote 25% of the time in terms of teaching to be online. And this is my belief, which I urge the ministry, both Ministry of Education and Ministry of Higher Education. Virtual learning, it is a must for the future. And also for people who doesn't have the chance to go through the regular process of education, attending schools and attending universities and so on.
Dr. Saeed Al-Khoury, thank you very much for being with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again as matters move along. We'll see what will happen. So until we see you again, well, wish you all the best. And we'd like also to wish our viewers the best, and thank you for being there. As we always say, we end up by saying God bless Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our police, our army, our white army, our president. And as we quote from the Holy Quran, Idkhulu Misr inshallah Aminina, enter Egypt, God willing, safe. And from the Holy Bible, Mubarak Sha'bi Misr, blessed be Egypt, my people. I'm Nermin Nazim signing off. We'll see you again next week, inshallah. Goodbye for now. Thank you.